What the hell? Okay, I am in the background. I'm going to set up my screen. Things are not going exactly right. Okay. Okay. That was weird. Okay, so my chat message showed up and then disappeared when I tried to tell it to leave the automated chime on there. Yeah, let me try this again. Alright, that seems to have worked. Hopefully it is big enough. It probably just looks small to me because I'm seeing it on my Streamlabs screen, which is much smaller than typical. But, I mean, I guess if you're watching it on a phone, it's going to still be small. Leave that there. I don't believe I need to project anything from my browser today, but I will be projecting stuff from pre-recorded videos. Hopefully all the volume and sound and everything is okay. The last time I did a live stream, I'm in California, which is not my usual home base. I do not have everything that I usually would use on a live stream. But the sound was really bad. It was picking up all the sound from the laptop fan. I have my earbuds plugged in with a kind of a silencer, so that hopefully is removing some of the background sounds, because we are like on the main Pacific Coast Highway. You can clearly hear if there is no noise silencer. You could clearly hear all the traffic going on just outside my window. But I think with the silencer on, it removes most of it. And when I checked, I did a pre-recording, and it sounded like it removed most of the the sound from the fan on the laptop. So hopefully that is all good. almost time. Here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Venus Brown. I am here with a kind of live stream reaction to one of the first House of the Dragon Season 3 teaser trailers. My reaction itself is pre-recorded. I had to do it before I left home, making sure that I had all the equipment that I needed, that everything was set up correctly, because I did not know how things would look and sound here in California when I got here. So I pre-recorded all of that. There's going to be another one that I do next week that will be very similar, because I pre-recorded my reactions to these trailers and anything else that I added to them to make sure that I had everything set up as far as I could tell appropriately. Here in California, I don't have all my equipment. So like I was saying earlier in the startup screen, that when I did my last live stream, the sound was really bad. It was picking up all the volume from the laptop, the clicking of the keys, the fan coming off of the laptop, the traffic coming outside. So right now I have a noise canceller hooked up to my earbuds, and I am talking through the mic on my earbuds. It may not be the best mic, but it is better than what I had on yesterday doing my live read of not the Handmaid's Tale, of the Testaments. But anyway, I'm not going to stay on here like this very long. We're going to go ahead and go straight to the reaction, because I already have an introduction that I put on there. So let's go ahead and go to that. Okay. And I am down here in this corner, so even though there is there is going to be a recording up in the left-hand top corner, my actual live stream image is down here in the bottom right corner. Let's go ahead and get this started.
Hello everyone, this is Venus Brown, and I am here with a new reaction to Season 3 House of the Dragon official teaser trailer. Now, mostly I do TV show reactions and sometimes discussions, breakdowns, and reviews, but I also like to do trailer reactions before the new seasons start. And since House of the Dragon Season 3 is coming up soon, I figured it is time. Now, last season, we kind of broke it off a little early, I would say. The Screenwriters Guild was on hiatus, I'll just call it that. And things were not happening as rapidly or as frequently as we would have liked them or as they should have been. But that is done. Things are back in session. It has been a long time, but this seems to be the way of things now. Every single really good show that I watch seems to have a couple years between seasons, which I really dislike, but it doesn't look like there's any end in sight. So this is the mess that we're left with. But because of that interference and because of not having the time, resources, whatever the case might be, to get everything done in the pace and time that they wanted it done, we ended up with an episode or two taken off of the last season and tacked on to the beginning of this season. And from my understanding, that's going to make this season very entertaining. I mean, you're talking about taking the finale and putting it on the beginning of a season. I don't know if they'll do it exactly that way, but I imagine it will be something like this. So this should be pretty entertaining. It should be pretty engaging. There are supposed to be a lot of fights and battles. I don't personally like a lot of fighting in battles. I find when I'm doing my reactions, when there's tons and tons of fighting, I find myself kind of zoning off and
Like
not
this.
caring so much. It doesn't mean I don't have any appreciation for the battles or I don't like them at all. It's just that, like, I only need a little bit and then that gets the message across and then I'm okay with it. But hopefully they'll make this entertaining and engaging enough that I won't care if there's tons and tons of battling and not so much diplomacy and things like that. And honestly,
I like the
feel like
diplomacy,
season 1
the
and
talking.
2 were the setup.
Trying
They
to figure
were
shit out.
showing us what's going wrong in the kingdom with these two, what's causing so much strife that they might actually go to war for it, and then setting up the battle before the major war. War is really, really starting. Yes, we've had lots of hits here and there that I would say they are already at war, but I feel like this is going to be where war really, really gets going. Anyway, I've got House of the Dragon Season 3 official teaser trailer. I'm going to go ahead and play. I'll watch it through one time, and then I'll go back through and pause it every now and then to talk about whatever it is that I decide to talk about. That's usually how I approach trailers. So let's go ahead and get this started.
You now have the power no man has ever wielded.
You will have an empire unassailable, Rhaenyra. And our children will rule it forever and a day.
And I realize now that I turned the opacity down, I don't generally have to do that with the trailers, but I guess for live stream it's probably better safe than sorry.
From before you came to the throne.
The Targaryens are a savage race.
We act with holy purpose to restore a rightful king.
I'm going to kill my brother, or die in the attempt.
Draw your sword. Look to the sky. Doom and ruin surround us. We will all become beasts before our end.
Good old Kristen Cole.
It is no longer safe
He
here.
just always has the answers. Not.
There will be no doubt who the gods have chosen to rule.
Right. Let's go ahead and go back through this.
You now have the power no man has ever wielded.
You will have an empire unassailable, Rhaenyra. And our children will rule it forever and a day.
Okay, so when he said this, I kind of laughed it off a bit because technically they do have the twins. It might be reasonable for him to make such assumptions, but yeah,
Like, they have
I'm
the
pretty
twins.
sure most of them
They
are
have the
going
three
to
boys.
be dead and gone before the end
Two
of this war.
Two
But
boys, and
I
then they have
believe
other
that the
children
person
also
that
on
ends
top of
up
that.
taking
So, like,
over
they do
after
have a lot of
all is
children,
said
but
and done is one of
most
her
of them are gonna
youngest
be dead.
children, so maybe I shouldn't laugh so much.
All that remains is for you to decide what you want from this war.
You will do things that your heart would have.
Okay, so I was watching something where they had talked a little bit about this, seeing her bloody footsteps going across the floor, and they think that it may be possibly after she sat on the throne. It's a little weird though. It looks like the blood is strictly on the bottom of her shoes, and I don't see any other blood anywhere else. And to me, if the blood is coming from her sitting on this throne, it shouldn't just be on the bottom of her shoes. That would come from stepping on blood, not from bleeding yourself. It just doesn't make sense to
bleeding
me.
yourself.
But another
It sounds
thing they had
like
brought
one
up
of
was
those
that it is
old
very
back in the
similar
day
to
procedures where
Previously
they
in the
thought
series,
if they
after she had
released
had one of
blood
her
from
babies, and
themselves, they would
Allison
get better,
called
and
her
in
down
fact,
the
it was making
stairs
them more
to have
sick.
words with her for whatever fucking disturbing thing Allison decided that she wanted to discuss. And Rhaenyra had just given birth, and she's walking across the floor and down the steps, and there is a trail of blood behind her that her footsteps left from having just given birth. Like, that was one of the things that really turned me off so badly to Allison. When she did that, I was just like, that is
One of the
fucking
things.
uncalled for.
One
So
of the things.
fucking
I
uncalled
mean, I
for.
was already
Anyway,
turned
let's
off
get
by
on
her,
with
but it
this.
was mostly from
Oiled
book
from
stuff.
before you came
That
to
was the
throne.
first thing really that set me off in the show.
The Targaryens are a savage race.
We act with holy purpose to restore a rightful king.
Okay, what he just said about the Targaryens race, it really reminded me of that scene in The Night of the Seven Kingdoms where Raymond Bossaway was talking about how all the Targaryens are aliens and how they're like such an
Incestuous
awful
aliens.
race. So yeah, that's what that reminded me of. And then he says that they're fighting to reinstall the rightful king, which is just like, oh my gosh, he is not the rightful king. Nothing about what happened was rightful. Just like when Robert Baratheon died in Game of Thrones, and Cersei goes and installs her son on the throne when that was not his desire. That is not what was supposed to happen. But what are you gonna do? And top that off, her kids were not really Robert Baratheon's kids, even though he never contested them or anything. Like, you could see, you could tell, and at least we all knew that she was screwing around with her brother, that all those kids pretty much were her brothers. But then there were other people that also knew. But anyway, I was just like, no, he's not the rightful king. And people are like, oh, but there's precedence for them not having females and only having males. And I'm like, but technically, that precedence was one freaking thing where the king was too tired and devastated and didn't want to make the decision himself. And so he called this meeting of all the leaders in the kingdom for them to decide it. Not because it was the standard way to do things, but because he didn't want to make the decision himself. And before
Yeah,
that,
it was like it
there
was a
were
major
rulers in Westeros
depart
that were
from
females.
the reality
Like, we
of
try to
how
act like
the
this
kings
was not
usually
a thing in
did
Westeros.
this.
But there were multiple kingdoms in Westeros that had female rulers. Yet we try to act like, oh no, they would never go for that. They would never go for a female ruler. Even with Rhaenyra, like, it seems like they didn't go for a female ruler, but her father also never really did anything to get her solidly implemented. He never did anything to make sure she was properly trained. He never did anything to make sure that the people of the kingdom were taking him seriously and taking her seriously. He wasn't involving her with very many of the decisions that needed to be made around town, with trying to delegate things with other people, with trying to make deals with the other leaders in the kingdom. And that, to me, is why people never took her seriously. That, to me, was why she wasn't able to make a good
I always have a
ruler,
problem with when
because
the
none of
previous
groundwork
ruler that
was
says that they
laid.
want somebody to
let's
take their
continue on.
place never does anything to
in the attempt.
properly set them up.
Draw your sword.
You're just setting them up for failure.
Look to the sky. Doom and ruin surround us.
And definitely last season, Kristen Cole had already kind of been coming to this point before the season was over. He saw those dragons in action when they're really being utilized to destroy, and it freaked him the fuck out. And now he's like, oh no, this is like our end. Like, we're nothing. We're nothing compared to these. We'll just all be bones and ash before this is all done. Like, all the Targaryens need to do is use their dragons and they can just set fire to everything. And he says, we will all become beasts before our end. And I would say Westeros, the Game of Thrones, it seems to do that to these people. Their leaders especially, but also the people that are caught up in all of this, and they're being demanded to enter these wars, to do all these things, to fight for them, to lose their freaking husbands and children and stuff to these wars. For what? For these leaders to play at the Game of Thrones.
And I do hope that Crispin Cole literally ends up crispy Cole before the end of this season.
Okay, I just realized she said it is no longer safe here. So I'm betting that after she had that discussion with Rhaenyra, where she said, yeah, you'll be welcomed into the kingdom, the doors will be open, and you can take your place on the throne. I'm betting she goes back over to King's Landing and tells somebody in charge, maybe Aemon, maybe somebody else, but she's like, it's no longer safe here, so she's trying to either get people out or get them up in arms to not go along with what she said. I don't know. I don't exactly trust Alicent. I think maybe when she went and talked to Rhaenyra, she actually wanted to try to make some sort of peace, but I still don't trust her. And we don't know what Aemon's gonna do. Aemon's had serious mommy issues from the beginning, and he seems to have already pretty much written her off. I mean, this may just be another tactic to try to regain favor with him or something, or to get him to do what she wants him to do, but it could also be the other way around. She could also be talking to her daughter, though, or pretty much anybody. It does make sense for her to come back and tell the people that she actually cares about that it's not safe and that they need to get the fuck out of there. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think she's not necessarily completely going back on her word, but I think that was an attempt to tell him
Lots of
to
screaming
get
there.
him out of there, so
Somebody
he's
said they
not
thought that
beheaded.
might be Helena giving birth
To
or
give him a
something. I
chance.
don't know. I don't remember if anybody was pregnant at that time that we ended last season, and I'm pretty sure it should be picking up right where it left off, but I don't know. And somebody else was saying, oh, there's no guarantee that is Helena. Maybe not, but I think it is. Even though with her all sweaty and stuff like that, it doesn't necessarily look exactly like her, but I think it looks enough like her that it probably is. She just looks disheveled and messed up because she's all sweaty and
Yeah, I'm still
screaming.
thinking that's
Happens
Helena,
to the
but I
best
am
of
a
us.
little bit swayed that it might be somebody else's mother in the past.
And that's the end of that. Yeah, she said there will be no doubt in the end who the gods chose to rule. And from what I remember in the books, it doesn't end up being her. Like, she rules for a little while, but it isn't long, and they make it look like the throne rejected her, which is all a bunch of freaking patriarchal shit to me, but whatever. I know, they said that Throne did the same kind of shit with her father, but still, I feel like
Yeah, I never
she
really
was set
liked
up
that
to fail,
storyline. The whole
and she's
idea that the
been through
throne
the
is
ringer.
literally
I'm not
rejecting
sure
someone.
if at that point
I
she'll
see it
already
as
have lost her other
they're
kid. Like,
utilizing
that
that
is major.
happening
She lost
as a
her fucking
claim that the
baby,
throne
gave
rejected
birth
them,
to
but
it, and it
really
died.
it's more like
there was
they
pretty much no
rejected
doubt it was
them,
probably going to die. It
and
was
they're
way
just
too early. Then
trying
she
to
loses one of her
associate
sons,
these
and
things
now
with
she's losing another
inanimate
son, and it's pretty
objects
much
having
back to
the
back. Like, that's a lot
desire
of
and
turmoil
ability
for somebody
to
go through.
deny
And she's trying
somebody.
to fight this war, and then she gets into the position, and she has to deal with all the mess that's been left by everything that's been going on, not just the war, but the finances in King's Landing being drained from the coffers and not having anything there to freaking run the kingdom. Like, all of that shit all compiled on top of each other is a lot. It's way too much. So to me, it's more not that a female isn't going to do a good job at this, or even that the throne rejected her. It's just, there's too much shit going on at one time, and there's too much to freaking deal with when she's already in a freaking really distraught, fucked up place. And so her head is
And the
probably
stories
not in the
are
right
written
place.
by the
So I
victors.
imagine that while she may have done very well had she been properly
Or,
prepared and things
as
hadn't
my
gone
kid
so
and I were
horribly
talking,
wrong the
the
way they
stories are
did,
written
she
by
might have
those
done
in
okay.
control.
This situation is like all the worst shit that could happen pretty much did. Anyway, that's it for this trailer. I look forward to seeing the show when it starts. I won't be doing reactions this time. I will be doing more of a breakdown and discussion of the show.
Okay, let's go back to live scene. Alright, so we're back to live scene. Okay, I do have another thing that I'm going to show in a little bit, but, gosh, what did I want to say? Sorry about the bleaching out of my hair. It is very bright on this side. Like, the main lighting in this room is coming from here. There are lights behind me along the bed frame, but they're not great. There are two lights at the front, one right here and one right here, but both of them are very small and they provide very little actual lighting. So almost all the lighting is coming from that window. And if I close the curtains up a little more, then it makes the image even worse, because then it's like all foggy and not sharp. And so, yeah. Anyway, what else was I saying? Okay, so I have another clip. This is from, hold on, let me see.
Hello everyone, this is Venus
this
Brown,
is not,
and I am...
that is not what we're trying to do. Actually. Okay, his name is L.T. Jones. Okay, L.T. Jones does a variety of clips of like behind the scenes stuff of when the TV show and movie producers are filming scenes. Okay, he lives in Wales, and these are particularly scenes that were done in Wales, and it's a little after the fact. So they've already shot the scenes and they've already left. He does have some footage from while they were there, and there are other clips that he's done. I just hadn't seen them before I recorded this. So you can go to his channel, and I recommend you do. He has also stuff from like grave sites and things like that of celebrities. So I find it all very interesting. Some people may find this stuff boring, but I find it very interesting. So that's why I did this recording. Let me first get it set up, or at least try to. There's no guarantee because I don't know for sure if it is going to open up the same size as the other one I did. I would think it should, but don't know for sure.
Okay, one of the things that I like to do...
Okay, sorry about that. I think it's the same size. Let me go back to my watch scene. All right. And I did do that little transition between. I wanted it to be a little bit shorter, so it ended a little bit earlier. But it's a GIF, and I don't really honestly know how to edit GIFs, or even if you can edit GIFs. But I haven't tried, so I just left it how it was. But I thought it was kind of cool to have that as a transition between scenes. Anyway, let's go ahead and play this clip. It is 11 minutes, 11 seconds. And I don't do a lot of talking while the recording is playing. I mean, I think I did last time, but generally I don't, because I feel like I'm just interrupting myself. But every once in a while I might say something. I think I hear the people next door. But you probably don't, because the noise canceling is canceling it out. All right, let's go ahead and play this.
Okay, one of the things that I like to do when I do these trailers is also look up behind the scenes and interviews, things like that from HBO. And while I was looking up behind the scenes stuff, I found this content. It's not from HBO, it's actually from another provider. And I do recommend that you go ahead and take a look at his channel. He
I
has
said
some
provider,
interesting stuff,
but
some in this vein, dealing with other shows and stuff,
like a
but some
content
with
creator.
other things also. And what this video is him showing some of the sites in Wales that they had actually been doing some shooting. He does do a little bit of footage that shows them while
Film
they were
shooting,
there on the
not
scene, but a
hunting
lot of the
shooting.
footage is from afterwards. And I really like this kind of stuff. I like going to these kind of places. I think it's interesting. I like learning about the different places that certain scenes happened and things like that. And sometimes I like going to places where these kinds of things were filmed because I think it's interesting. Not that I've ever been around a place while it's being filmed or anything, but I do like going after the fact to see the area that the film was done in. Anyway, let's go ahead and start watching.
Just doing a kind of a follow-up video to my last video about the filming of House of the Dragon Season 3 in Wales.
And I haven't seen that. I didn't look it up, but maybe I'll have to look it up later.
I have now.
Quarry.
Not for this, but just for my own satisfaction.
When I was here the other day, the what I refer to as the base camp for the film crew was over here.
Yeah, and it's not there right now, but
Two large marquees.
This image right here, as far as I know, is from when they were there.
Thus, I was driving past, I could see there were a number of giant water tanks inside the marquee. These would have been taken up the quarry for the purpose of simulating rainfall. They may not have finished filming here yet. They might be coming back to do
Now,
a
seeing
bit more
that
filming.
big wide image of the quarry doesn't look like something I would even want to entertain going on.
That might be an indication that they could be back.
Just to see if there's any of the props still there.
But then after he shows some of the places he went, I was like, well, that actually would be very cool to go where he went.
Location 1, presumably. So I guess the base must have been where the lorries were parked. Maybe the area that I was referring to as the base camp was maybe an area for all the extras to gather.
Especially later on, he's going to have a cave he's going to go into, which I think is really interesting and cool.
Footpaths closed from 2nd to the 16th of June. At Dinorwig Quarry. Apologies for any inconvenience. They haven't
so I'm
removed
assuming
the
that
sign.
would have been
They've
last
just put
year.
tape over the dates, which makes me think that the information I've received about them coming back here is probably correct.
Which I think he does do another one later where he said they did come back for a little while.
Top of the quarry.
I'm not going to be in Wales this summer, but I am going to be in the UK.
Okay, I'm getting
going
to
to
the spots
Ireland,
where I spotted them filming
Northern and
the other
Southern
day.
Ireland, and I'll be taking a very short trip to Scotland. And it will be my first time going to either.
Okay, this is the spot.
My family on my mom's side is Irish.
I'll show you
Family
some
on
of
my
the
dad's
drone
side is
footage I
mostly
took whilst they
Norwegian.
were filming at this spot. I'm not going to hang about, but we'll have a quick look. It might be hard to see if you're watching this on a mobile phone, but there were at least 8 horse boxes down there. So obviously they're filming a scene with horses. The camera seems to be on top of this rock, and I'd say that they were actually going to be filming here.
Ooh, there's this part he does later on where he goes into a cave.
I get all
I
excited.
like that kind of
I
stuff
think
too.
this
It's
kind of
very interesting
scaffolding
to me.
is what they would place the camera lights on, and then they'd attach it to a crane.
I can skip it right away. Yay.
I was
This is not
skipping
prop,
a
by the way,
commercial.
This has always been here.
He talks about it a
I've
little bit
seen
later.
3
like when it's
security
for.
guards on the way up here, but there's nobody over here. And the whole area is still fenced off. So I'm going to get the drone up just in case there's any kind of set still up there.
Okay, the drone's up here. The area that they were filming was just to the left here. You see this quarry building. They seem to be filming just behind the quarry building from what I could gather. I wonder if they used this old quarry building in the filming.
It's something to pay
There
attention
was
to.
another place where they filmed nearby. They built a set of a barn. It was built inside the shell of a quite a large building. They even had some straw there. They seemed to be dismantling it. I took the drone down to have a closer look.
I could hear my husband in the
Taken that shell
background.
down already.
I think this thing is
I
actually
thought I had
like
tried
a
to get rid
ventilation
of
thing.
that
You can
sound
hear there's some
when I was
machinery
editing the
working
footage,
inside it.
but I must have missed that
There's
part.
a hydroelectric power station here. It's built into the mountain. There's like these huge tunnels. It looks like something from a James Bond film. And it's the largest pump storage system in Europe. I was talking to 2 lads on the trail and I asked them if they'd spotted any props, and they had. So I'm just going to go and find that.
I wonder if he's talking about the same lads
I
that
know earlier when I was watching
I hear
this,
later. I think I'm
I
getting
could
ready
hear
to
a
talk
couple
about it.
kids
Just to the side of this wall.
in part of the thing that he was filming.
And these are the props there, those
That
lads.
might be them.
These look very realistic, but
Whoa.
they're props. All 3 of these. They're so realistic, I was scared to hurt my hand when I was about to knock the first one.
There's the kids. Oh, I can hear them. Can't see them, but I can hear them.
There's something very cool over here, which I'd be amazed if they haven't used in the filming.
Oh, this is
Obviously,
where
it's
he's
off
going to go in the
limits,
cave. Not right
strictly
away, but
speaking,
in a little
but
bit.
Somebody's made the doorway here.
Thank you, whoever made the doorway.
It'd be rude not to have a look. Check it out. This is so
Okay.
cool. Like, this is the kind of
So here.
stuff that I would love to explore when I was a kid.
Excuse
Somehow
me.
I don't think that hat was quite a fitting for House of the Dragon, but whatever. This is cool. Maybe when I go to
Bear with me.
Ireland and Scotland, I'll take some shorts and put them on my channel. I haven't done that in a long, long time, but I used to do it pretty regularly on my trips.
Yeah, I do
Anytime
plan
go
on
on a trip.
putting a
I'm also
couple
going to
shorts
California
from here.
very soon. As a matter of fact, I'll probably be in
Just not yet.
California when I show this. Maybe I'll make some shorts for that trip also and put them on my channel.
And my shorts are not like really
don't
edited
copy
or
me by
anything. They're
going there.
just
It's
they're just
okay when
straight
you're
from the
walking up to it,
recording.
but
I usually slap a
walking
little
back,
bit of
it's quite dangerous.
text on them or whatever.
You could easily fall
Yeah,
down
isn't
there,
it interesting when
especially
you're
if
like
Trim it up a
walking
little
up
bit
and
maybe,
down,
but that's it.
things like that?
Everything
Like,
else is
going
exactly
one
how it was
direction,
when I
it seems
recorded it.
so
Out one other place
easy
with the
and
drone.
not a big problem,
It's
and
the
then you go
spots
the
where
other
I
direction and
noticed the
you
burnt
just feel so
black
much
beans
more
the other
off
day.
balance, and it seems so much
From a
scarier.
distance, it looks like they've removed them. And I think they're going to be filming there again because the area is still fenced off with a security guard nearby.
This is the area where the burnt cats were. took the drone pretty low down this time. I wish I'd done that the first time. Unfortunately, all the cats have been removed, but you can see the area where they were located by the different colour on the ground there.
Another with me removing the advertisements.
In the quarry. And there's also going to be
It
a big naval
definitely
battle
reminds me
apparently
of some of
in
the
season 3. Well, that's
footage
the
that I
speculation.
remember seeing at the
It's
end of the
possible that
last
some of those
season.
scenes will be filmed on the coast of Inismon.
Although it might not be the same place,
for
but
the music at the end.
I think it
must
is. I think I
bone
went
me.
back and he had verified that that was the same place they did some of the footage from last season.
I'm gonna stop. Okay, just because I don't want to have a bunch of music on there. I don't want it to be pulled off.
So I left some of the video,
So
but I
that's all
took
for
the
now.
music
Go back to
after
my
a certain
live song.
point. Okay, all right. Back to my live song. All right. I wish that there was a way that I could change that transition, like just in the editing thing, to speed it up or to shorten the ending or add some music or fade it out. Like, I didn't see anything in there. This is Streamlabs that I use for doing the live streams, and I didn't see anything in the transition options to change that. It's basically a stinger, so you put a little teeny short video clip for stingers, and that's basically what I used, but I didn't see any way to really edit it. But anyway, so like I said, I really find that kind of stuff, exploring areas like that, interesting. And I always find the stuff about like where footage from a show actually took place. I find that interesting. I looked at some of that when I was doing Handmaid's Tale stuff, so not surprising. Anyway, where do I have that? I don't know. I'm just going to leave it on here. So House of the Dragon is starting on June 21st. I have one more teaser trailer reaction I'm going to do next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. I haven't decided for sure. If I do it Tuesday, that'll be so that I can get both of my live streams done on the same day, because I am here in California, and there are other things that I plan on doing. I plan on going out there onto the beach later on, and I'm going to slowly, gradually try to will myself to get all the way in the water. The water here in California is significantly colder than it is in Florida. So, but I think I can do it. I think I have the willpower to do that. Anyway, yeah, it starts on June 21st. I am very excited. I will not be doing reactions for it right away. What I will be doing is a kind of breakdown and discussion of each episode, probably a couple days after. Now, it says that it shows on the 21st, but I think that's like late on the 21st in some places. In other places, because the time zone issues, it's actually the 22nd. So most likely I won't actually be able to watch it until the 22nd. And then from there I can watch it, take notes, and then get ready for my discussion and breakdown the next day or two after that. So we will see. Whatever day that I do the first discussion and breakdown, I will probably do it the same day of the week every week. Just so we're clear on that. Eventually, I will put up reactions, but it's not going to be right now. Instead, I will be putting up reactions to A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which I had recorded previously when I was doing A Night of the Seven Kingdoms live streams. So just keep that in mind. live streams every week for House of the Dragon, and then reaction videos every week for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And I hope to see you there. Should be fun, should be interesting. I do like the George R.R. Martin TV shows and books and all of that. They're very interesting. I haven't watched all of them. I haven't read all of them, but I have watched all of Game of Thrones, all of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is only one season, all of House of the Dragon. I have read all of A Song of Ice and Fire. I've read all the books that Game of Thrones comes from, which no, they are not. It's not all the same. There is definitely stuff in the books that doesn't show up in the TV show. It seems like they cut a lot of the more magical stuff out, the more like mystical creatures and stuff like that. And I have watched one of the books for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I have not read any of the rest of them. And I know there is, what was that other book that I read? It's like a pirate book or something like that. And outside of that, I don't think I have read any of this stuff. So it's all Game of Thrones, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that one pirate book, and that's it. But anyway, I hope to see you after the show starts airing on June 22nd. Once a week, I'll do discussion breakdowns, and once a week, I will do reactions to A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And that's all I got for you right now. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.